Good morning, all. Today we're going to talk about the carbon cycle, but first we're going to do a quick review. Remember, we started out talking about energy flow in ecosystems, and we looked at trophic pyramids. So the carbon cycle is connected to this, so we want to do a quick review. So remember, energy is absorbed from the sun by producers. Producers use 90% of that energy and it gets converted to heat and it's lost. 10% of that energy gets transferred when primary consumers eat the producers. What the primary consumers are eating to get energy are sugars. Sugars are carbon compounds. So when the primary consumers eat the producers, sugars get transferred, energy gets transferred, carbon is transferred. Now, primary consumers use the energy and 90% gets converted to heat, 10% is transferred when secondary consumers eat the primary consumers. So energy goes one direction and is lost as heat. Carbon gets cycled back in. So we're going to talk about how carbon gets recycled in the carbon cycle. So when producers die, carbon gets cycled. When the consumers die, carbon gets cycled. And there are other processes that we're going to look at as well. But energy could not be transferred if we did not have carbon compounds. And that is why the carbon cycle is important. We have to have these carbon compounds for many reasons, but one reason that we already know of is energy has to be transferred so that organisms can live. They can carry out their life processes. So now we're going to look at the carbon cycle. So I'm going to share my screen. So now your book isn't working right now, so I'm making this video so that you can see what's in the book. And when they fix the book, you'll be able to see this yourself. I am going to show you this interactive carbon cycle, and I'm going to read it to you. So here is the carbon cycle. So the introduction says, biological, geological, physical, chemical, and human processes cycle carbon through Earth's global systems. So there are layers to the carbon cycle. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 layers. So let's look at biological first, because that is what we've already discussed with energy flow. So you have 2 cycles here. Through photosynthesis, plants and algae remove carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. Organisms release carbon dioxide back to the atmosphere as a waste product of cellular respiration. So this circle right here, they've given you animals, they've given you forests. So carbon dioxide is taken out of the atmosphere in photosynthesis when plants make those sugars. When producers make those sugars, then consumers eat the sugars. When they eat those carbon sugars, they break down the sugar and release carbon dioxide back into the atmosphere. So carbon dioxide goes into sugars. Animals eat the sugars. Animals release carbon dioxide. It goes back into the atmosphere. So that's one biological process. In marine environments, it's the same process, but we have algae and we have marine consumers. So algae take carbon dioxide dissolved in water, make sugars. Animals eat the sugars, release the carbon dioxide back into the water, and that is your cycle. So that is the biological cycle. Now let's look at the geological cycle. In the geological cycle, carbon from marine sediments and decomposing organisms is transformed by geological activity into rock. The carbon is released from the rock layer when volcanoes erupt. So here we have carbonate rocks. Carbonate rocks are made from marine sediments and decomposing organisms. When volcanoes happen, the carbon in the carbonate rocks gets released back into the atmosphere as carbon dioxide. Now, physical and chemical processes. Carbon dioxide is continuously exchanged between the oceans and the atmosphere as it dissolves in ocean water and is released. Carbon dioxide also dissolves in rainwater. So you have this constant cycle of carbon dioxide dissolving into water and then carbon dioxide coming back out of the water, so being released from the water. Finally, human processes. Humans release stored carbon back into the atmosphere by removing oil, coal, and natural gas from underground sources and burning the fossil fuels for energy. So we take these fossil fuels out of the ground and then we burn them. We do combustion and we release carbon dioxide gas. So that is the carbon cycle. It can be overwhelming when you see all the arrows together like this. But just think of it as 4 different mini cycles: biological, geological, physical and chemical, and human processes.